One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Today, joining Frank and I is Bart Sibrel. He's a filmmaker, writer, and one of his main claims to fame is that in his book On the Way to the Moon, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, Bart alleges and feels quite strongly that the moon landing never happened. Bart, tell us what's happening.
Well, thank you for asking. What the United States is claiming is that they went 1,000 times farther than they can go today with 50-year-older equipment on the very first attempt with 1/millionth of computing power in all of NASA than is in a cell phone. Now, if I told you that Toyota 50 years ago made a car that could go 50,000 miles on a gallon of gasoline, and yet today their best car could only do 50 miles per gallon, or 1,000th the distance, you would easily recognize that the previous claim was a fraud. And if it weren't for people's emotional attachment, they would see that. I mean, we can only go 1,000th as far today than they did 50 years ago, even though we have 50 years of better computers and rockets. It's never happened before in the history of the world that a technological achievement like the first airplane or the first car or the first nuclear reactor, that no nation on Earth could repeat it 50 years later. And it's the only time they deliberately destroyed all the hardware and the blueprints and the schematics after they were done. I mean, the B-52 has been around for 70 years and it's still in service because it works so well. So if they really went to the moon, they would never destroy that equipment, and there would be bases on the moon today. Here's all the proof that you need that the moon landings are fake. Here's a photograph I took in sunlight. You can go outside and check this for yourself. The sun's 1,000,000 times bigger than the Earth. It throws shadows in the same direction, parallel, across the entire continent. Now, over here on the right is a picture that our corrupt federal government claims was taken on the moon, where the astronaut shadow is going at 12 o'clock and a rock only 5 feet away is going at 9 o'clock. It is impossible to duplicate this picture in sunlight. This is 100%. This is all the proof you need that it's fake. And then I found a classified tape from NASA that has a third track of audio of the CIA prompting the astronauts to wait until 4 seconds go by so that they can pretend to be halfway to the moon with an increased radio delay. Listen to it for yourself.
Great, over.
Okay, so that was the CIA telling them to talk after 4 seconds had gone by. And then here's the clip that they're claiming, right, was halfway to the moon. Here's Neil Armstrong making that claim.
Roger, Houston, Apollo 11. Calling in from about 130,000 miles out.
So this is supposed to be the Earth floating in space, and they just said that there's only one window that faces the Earth, and it's filled up with the TV camera, as it would have to be. The lens would have to be against the window's glass. But we have a classified tape we uncovered, and let me show you where the window really is. Here's the other clip, and you see that the camera is really at the back of the window, away from the window. There they are. There's the model of the Earth. That's supposed to be the Earth floating in space, but it's a model. They're removing the screen away from the model, and we see that, in fact, the camera's been at the back of the spacecraft the entire time. NASA claims that that was footage halfway to the moon. You see, here we are 50 years later, and they can't leave Earth orbit, and this tape shows them faking being halfway to the moon, which means they cannot go halfway. They cannot leave Earth orbit. And Kelly Smith from NASA in his 20s says they cannot protect astronauts beyond the radiation belts in order to reach the moon. He says that technology has yet to be invented.
One of the few people ever to be assaulted by Buzz Aldrin, and we have the video, I think, of that assault, and we can go on the screen. But in 30 seconds or so, Bart, why do you believe the government would be motivated to lie about this? What do you think their motivation is?
Well, I was told by military sources, some of whom were there when it was being filmed. Okay, I know the base where it was filmed. They said it's all about money. It's an equivalent in today's dollars of $175 billion, and there's no independent press coverage. Only 3 government employees, and whatever pictures they say are on the moon are from the people perpetrating the crime to begin with.
Sibrel.com. Do the research. Come to your own conclusions.